So the home run derby was on Monday. I think who surprised? We got some questions. Who surprised? Who underwhelmed? We're going to talk about the winner, Vlad. Finally getting his trophy, and then the most random tidbit. Stay tuned for all that. Who surprised? I think to me, it's pretty clear at least who the biggest surprise was. I think it was Randy Rosarena. We knew he had some star ability. Like, anyone who watched, the 2020 World Series, they referenced a lot, especially during, the Derby, or that whole postseason where he had 10 home runs. We knew he had that star power, and, the clutch are going to come to play. The clutch will always come to play. And that's especially for Randy Rosarena. And then he's been a solid player ever since 2023. He's one of the best hitters on the Rays. But I didn't know he was gonna come to play, especially like the Derby. Like Mookie Betts, like obviously Mookie Betts had a terrible home run derby by all standards, but he's not a terrible player. He's an awesome player. That's why he was great with the Red Sox. He's won an MVP, and now he's with the Dodgers, and he's doing great. And he did great in he's an all-star. So Mookie Betts is not a scrub, and he did horrible in the Derby. So I thought the same was kind of going to be coming to Randy Rosarena. Like he's a great player, he'll hit home runs, but he's a smaller guy, and this isn't really a smaller guy environment. But Randy Rosarena, I don't know if he got lucky or he was just good or he practiced like crazy, but he was hitting them over the wall. He didn't like. I think he had 3 turns, obviously, because he made it to the championship. He only got the bonus one time, and not getting the bonus is a huge disadvantage. You lose 30 seconds to the other guy if they do get a bonus. But for Randy Rosarena, I think when he faced Luis Robert, it didn't even matter. He had 35. He started with 24, I believe, when he faced Adolis Garcia. Then the second round he faced Robert, he had 35. He improved. Everyone else got tired, and he improved. And then he did lose the championship, but he did have a shot, and he was at 21 home runs in the championship. And then he couldn't finish shit off versus Vlad. But my point is that he just found the sweet spot. He was getting them over the wall. Usually an environment for a smaller outfielder like that, it doesn't go so well, but props to him. He balled out, and it was a sight to see. He was good. He was turning them loose every time too. He didn't really go cold at any particular moment, except I guess when he lost. But Jake, I'll turn to you. Who surprised the most in the Derby?
Yeah, I think the most surprising round to me was, Adley Rutschman. I think in the first round, him turning around from from to he turning around the switching and going 6 or 7 from the left right side. I think that was pretty impressive. Unfortunately he eventually fell in the first round to Luis Robert. Luis Robert, by the way, props to him. He impressed in the first round. I didn't think he was going to be Rutschman. Um, so yeah, I gotta go with Adley Rutschman. What do you think, man?
I also have to go with Adley Rutschman. I mean, the he did great from the left side to begin with, but just basically just showing off and hitting bombs from the right side. I mean, come on. I don't remember the last time we've seen that in a home run derby.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
Evan, we'll throw it back over to you, man. Who underwhelmed?
So who underwhelmed, I think, is more of an interesting question. I think there's a lot of good answers for who surprised. It's a fun event. It's a home run derby. You don't want to pick on people too much. I think Mookie Betts, we all understand, even himself, he went out on ESPN and made it a point to say, listen, I'm going to suck at this. My wife signed it up for me. He made it a point. I don't know if that's a great attitude to go into sports, but you know what? He made it a point to say that we knew he was going to underwhelm. So it's not him. I don't think it's Julio Rodriguez. Clearly, he ran out of gas, but you get 41 home runs in a round. I'm not going to say you underwhelmed for the entire time. He clearly just put on a show and then died in the second round. I'm going to say Adolis Garcia. He was in the first round. He faced Randy Rosarena. He leads the MLB in RBIs. He's at 75 RBIs right now. He can hit for power. I thought he would go more. He really never got into anything. Like he started with 10 and then he stopped at his break and then he only had like 7 more home runs the entire way. He's a really good hitter. I thought he was going to show out a little more. He really like his entire time he'd hit a home run, then he'd not hit one for 5 pitches, then he'd hit a home run. He never like some of the guys who got tired, like obviously Julio and all them, they got into their groove. They got a groove and then they eventually just fall. I really felt like Adolis Garcia never really got into a groove and he lost to a Rosarena in the first round. So underwhelmed. I'm gonna have to go Garcia on that one. Jake, who underwhelmed?
Yeah, and I'll say mine pretty quickly and I'll throw it over to Jordan. I think, there's a couple answers for underwhelming. You could talk about Mookie Betts. Like Evan said though, he said on a platform that he was gonna go out there and suck. My wife did it for me. I think he's still underwhelmed. I think what he did in the first half of the season, he did not bring that to Seattle with him. Um, and for Pete Alonso too, he was back-to-back home run derby champions, and he didn't even make it to the championship. So I think, he underwhelmed a whole lot. Gordon, what do you think, man?
I'm gonna agree with Evan here. I'm gonna say Adolis Garcia. Just because I can't remember seeing a single homer hit to right field, and I know that was that's a big part of his quote unquote first half. His power to the opposite field, and I was just disappointed to not see a single home run hit to right field.
Okay, so let's talk about Vlad a little bit because he obviously won the Derby. I did not think this was his most impressive performance. I thought when he won in 2019, he got the 40 home run. He didn't win. He became runner up to Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
I like he did good. He did what he needed to do. He got a little bit tired throughout. But he finished off Rosarena. But like he did good, of course. Luis Robert had both of the furthest home runs. He hit one 484 and he hit one 470. So, well deserved for Vlad. He's a great power hitter. This a type of event for a big guy like this just sets him up perfectly, in my opinion. So he did good. He did good. I wasn't really blown away by his performance though. Like there was no really like dagger like Luis Robert, Julio Rodriguez had. So he clearly won. No disputing that at all. You win how the game's played, and he won how the game's played. I guess I wasn't just crazy impressed by his performance though, because especially an event like this seems like it suited him. Well, what do you think about Vlad winning it, Jake?
Yeah, Vlad, props to him. He finally got one through, but he finally pulled this one off. I got agree with Evan, though. I don't think this was his most amazing performance. I think that he's finally going to get into the groove of winning home run derby, and he might go back to back like Pete Alonso did in 2019 and 2020. So,
So Vlad, big congratulations to him for winning the event, but I'll also reference the 2019 home run derby in Cleveland, when he hit 91 total homers, but did not end up winning it. It's something that I don't that I think that he learned from that home run derby because obviously in life you live and you learn, right? Maybe it wasn't exactly exert all your energy as soon as possible. Maybe it was that lesson. Um, but yeah.
throw something out about that Jordan just said. I think that's the key to everything. I mean, a sprint, baseball game, or anything really, go and set your energy and the first inning, the first mile, you know, um, you know, go slow, I guess, to start and then it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. So I think that, it's about how he finished.
Yeah, that's true.
And he obviously finished the winner.
I think Jordan makes a great point with that. I think when he says, especially because, like I said, you do look at guys who had more of a stardom showing, like Luis Robert and Julio Rodriguez, but did they win the Derby? No, they didn't even come close. So you have
And
to,
yeah, the Westman even started fast. Did he win the W? No, he did not.
yeah, but he didn't have it time to get gas. But anyway, so I did that kind of leads in because he only made it one round, but that kind of leads into what I want to talk about most random tidbit. I thought what you guys talked about with the switch hitting, which was pretty impressive. I'm gonna stick with Adley, but go with something else. His dad was pitching to him. I thought
Yeah.
that was really cool. You got to imagine, like they came out. Adley Rutschman came out ready to go. You could tell. He had 27 home runs, but he came out swinging right away too. You can tell they've just been practicing for this his entire life. Like
Oh yeah.
like you can see him and 6-year-old Adley, with that same batting stance. Like he has this big swooping motion, with his home runs. You can see he's been practicing it all his life, and it was really cool. It looked like they were having the time of their life out there.
Oh, yeah.
So that's probably my most random tip, but that was pretty cool. Jake, what about you?
Yeah, man, I gotta agree. I gotta agree with you. That was pretty cool too. That was pretty cool.
So my most random tidbit is actually an idea to maybe make the home run derby more entertaining to watch. So I think instead of having different people pitching, which I mean, don't get me wrong, it's kind of cool because like it could be a family member, close friend, or whatever. Give each of the participants an equal playing field. Have like a pitching machine or something like that. I think that would make it more interesting, honestly, in my opinion.
That's how they used to do the home run derby in the earlier years when you got 10 swings and you see how many homers you hit. I think that was more interesting than, the timer than we have right now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna disagree with the pitching machine, not because I think it's a bad idea. It's just because it doesn't like it looks good on paper, but it doesn't work. Anyone who's been to any little league game, when they
Yeah.
when they still do the pitch machine, sometimes those machines go wild. Like you can't
Hmm.
control them. And if you're on a
They
like
do.
Jake said, if they did the outs instead of a timer, that's something you could consider. But sometimes those pitching machines go wild. So I like,
Yeah.
There's
I would.
something about Pete Alonso that we forgot to mention is that Pete Alonso's regular pitcher was not pitching at that time. So that could be what I mean, he had to play catch up to 41 home runs, so he could have just been rushing.
Yeah.
But his regular pitcher wasn't there. So I don't know. I think the pitchers it's not an unfair advantage. You get to practice with this guy. It's a good idea to level the playing field on paper. I just don't know if a pitching machine would quite do that. But like Jake said, with the outs, that might be something interesting to maybe look back into.